In October of 2022, Aberdeen lost its oldest and most important cinema, the Belmont. It came as a big loss for the city as a place that was already lacking a selection of cinemas that offered a great movie watching experience, and just in general, an iconic building with some really rich history was now going to be left to rot directly in the centre of the city. However, it wasn't bad news for long, as within an hour of the announcement, a campaign titled Save the Belmont had come to life, and some of the local Aberdeenians banded together to try and save their cinema. They were mega busy with fundraising events that happened throughout the years all over the city, but with that announcement happening almost 4 years ago, many people, including myself, kind of kept raising the same three questions. What actually were the plans for the cinema to reopen? Was the entire building about to completely change? And most importantly, probably the most frequently asked question, why was it taking so long? Well, myself and my friend Archie were lucky enough to be invited up to the cinema and meet Chief Executive Officer of the programme, Matt Buchanan, to have a good little look at the cinema that I had so many fond memories of and learn about the exciting future that it had coming. This is the Belmont Cinema.
Hi, I'm Matt Buchanan. I'm the CEO of the Belmont Cinema. You may remember me from such previous cinemas as the Montrose Playhouse down the road, which we opened in the pandemic. And it is still going strong. So here I am in Aberdeen trying to raise the money and get the Belmont reopened, reimagined and refurbished. And a big part of the reason we need to do that is that it hasn't had a refurb for 30 years. So it's pretty tired, it's pretty stained. Some might say it's a reflection of its chief executive, but it is an absolute cultural gem that's known not just in Scotland, but around the world. And I remember when I got the job, I was getting messages from people in Australia saying, wow, what an opportunity to turn around somewhere as historic and important as the Belmont. So we're hoping to build on that reputation and take it to the next level. And part of that is things like the layout. So we're going to take out this whole corner and increase the dwell space. We're going to have a wee box office down here. We've not held back in our marketing, and I think it can be the best cinema in Scotland. And these are examples of our new seating, and you'll see why we need the new seating when we go into the screen. So coming round again, if you imagine this space is the space for maybe 200 people coming into a screening, and it's not really big enough. So more dwell there, and then push this all back and have the concessions as a more open area. And this visualization kind of gives you an idea of that extra space being created. And I think that's going to be absolutely crucial for user experience, for guest experience as you come in. So moving through to the fun bits, screen one with this rather cool sign that I'm really hoping we can keep. The main auditorium. Screen one, as you can kind of see, there's some seats and some real requirement of love, and the carpet has seen better days, but the bones are there. And we've already managed to buy a new projector and a new sound system with our grateful thanks to the UK government for that funding. We'll also, and I'll talk more about this, but we'll also have our 35mm projector for here, and we are currently looking to convert it to 70mm as well, and we've already started that journey. But screen one will be approximately 180 seats. We'll have the new seating in. For some unknown reason, the designer decided to take out the two best seats in every single row and put a staircase in there. I don't think they'd ever been to a cinema before when they designed the seating plan. So we'll put those seats back in, and we'll put the rows at the sides, the stairs at the sides, which will make a lot more sense. But yeah, that's screen one, and it's still got the really cool masking. So the curtains that go, and we can actually go to a full Oscar ratio as well of 4:3. Back to the way we came, we're going to go, and I've realized that we're front loading this because all of the best bits are at the start. So coming through to my favorite room, the projection booth for Screen 1. So this is our JJ Century, the same projector that they have in the BFI IMAX. It is an amazing, amazing projector and just really, really cool. And we will, as I say, it's up and running. It runs 35mm, but we're currently just getting the parts converted so that we can move on to 70mm. So 35, 70. And a big part of what we want to do is projection, film celluloid projection is dying. And the youngest projectionist I know is like 46, 47. So we need to sort of enthuse, engage, and bluntly train another generation of people who are just as thrilled by that sort of analog experience. And it certainly does have a warmth that digital projection doesn't have. And digital projections completely revolutionized, cinema. But, there's still a huge place for this. Now, it's not going to be every day. I mean, this digital projector is actually a museum piece in its own right. So it's one of the first generation of digital projectors, and the one we've got to replace it is actually hugely energy efficient. It's got a laser. But what's hilarious is that the fundamental principles are the same. It's a big light bulb pushing out the picture, and that's all it is. Whereas the laser projector is a bit more like a modern car. So with this, once it's on, but like with a modern car, when you roll up to the red light and it kills the engine and then it starts again, the laser projector is much more energy efficient because cinemas do like electricity. They really like electricity. So any savings we can make and get towards net zero targets as quickly as possible is what we're looking for. But we're very lucky to have an amazing guy who works with us called Pete Naples, who is Scotland's cinema guy. And he's currently getting the 70mm sound heads. He's gone round all cinemas and begged, borrowed, and stolen bits so that we can do this. So we always have to give a shout out to Pete Naples and also to Dallas, who is the last projectionist standing really in Aberdeen, Dallas King. And he'll be working with Pete to teach me, hopefully, how to run this projector and then teach generations of people in Aberdeen so that it doesn't die out and it doesn't stop. And I think you see in the modern world a bit of a rejection of digital at the moment with the growth of vinyl. And also, I think, there's an article every week in The Guardian about how Gen Z want to see things on the 35mm print and stuff like that. So I do feel like it's a really important skill that shouldn't be lost. And I really want to make it a cornerstone of what we do here. I will now take you up to screens 2 and 3, going back through the foyer, which will be much bigger, up past the lovely blue. And again, a non-traditional choice for a cinema color scheme, blue. When we get up here, what's really stark is just like how badly in need of refurbishment, perhaps more than downstairs. The carpets are all bunched. There's roof panels down and all sorts of stuff going on. And as you can see, on the day that it was sadly closed, literally everything just stopped. Like the posters are still in there. You can actually literally see the films that were on when we closed down. So it's a really stark sort of reminder of what happens, when something like this happens. Screen 2 is weirdly my favorite screen out of all 3 screens. I just think it's a very cool room for some reason. And I also have an emotional attachment because that's the seat I sat in where I watched the last Lord of the Rings for all 4 hours. And I can tell you the seats need sorted out and changed over because I wondered if I would ever be able to walk again after sitting in this seat for 4 hours. And then that seat right at the front there is the seat where I watched David Fincher's Zodiac, which I'm going to give you the hot take of I did not enjoy at all. But this screen will have about 100 capacity. Again, we'll pull it in so that those really good seats, because there's not much of a rake in here, like there's not much height from front to back, the seats will have to be offset again. And we may look at overstepping it a little bit to generate a little bit of height so that there's a little less, if you get a tall person in front of you annoying you with their big heads. But overall, we'll get a new projector. Again, it's got the same projector as downstairs, but this screen also has the capacity to do 35mm as well. So we've got a lot of options. We've actually got another 35mm projector. We're not going to convert it to 70. The room's probably too small to really justify that, because 70mm prints aren't exactly cheap, but this will be an awesome space, and I'm really excited to see what the designers come up with for this room, because I think it's got a lot of potential and a really good feel. And we might even, if it works, get the really cool fade down on the remaining lights that still, yeah, never works the first time, does it? There we go. This is bar, which, as I think nobody could disagree, is in severe need of a bit of love and attention. But what's really important about this is that this will become a really crucial third space in the city centre, which is really lacking in third spaces. It could be a hub and become a place where creative filmmakers, people involved in any part of the creative industries in Aberdeen can make it a bit of a home from home. And Aberdeen really lacks those third spaces, and I hope it will become a vibrant sort of beating heart. And we can put on open mic nights, we can put on comedy nights, we can put on low-key screenings, we can put on whatever. But more than that, I just hope it's a place where people want to come and hang out and just have a bit of fun, meet their friends, have a drink before, have a drink after, and discuss the film, whatever it is. But Aberdeen's got lots of bars, and we need to differentiate that if we're going to make it work financially. So I think making it the place to be if you're in the creative industries, filmmaking, whatever it is a really important thing that we can do down here. Oh, and of course, the film quiz. How could I forget that? Our film quiz is already running at Common Sense Cafe. It's always oversubscribed. So we'll be able to get a few more teams down here. We'll maybe switch off the Wi-Fi so there's no cheating. And, I think it can be a really cool space once we get it refurbed. But when you look at the sort of the carpet situation, the sort of just general dilapidation, but we'll do things like we're going to cut these pillars away. So you can see we've explored that here so that we can get better sight lines through the room and just leave the steel beams rather than the steel supports. They're not beams, supports rather than, these big pillars, and have a wee stage and, just make it really cool. So I'm really excited about the possibilities, and there's a lot of competitions for bars on Belmont Street, let's be honest. So we're not going to be the best bar on Belmont Street, but let's hope we're the funnest, most interactive, most useful space on Belmont Street. So then up to screen 3, which is our little wee screen. And this is the screen with a lot of potential for not just cinema, but what we found at the Playhouse was that there's a huge market for businesses. So cinemas aren't traditionally particularly open and busy Monday to Friday during the day. So if you're an accountant and you've got a big spreadsheet and you want to hire this screen for an hour to do a presentation, if you're an architect who's got a new design you want to take the clients through, if you're a school that wants to do some educational stuff, if you're whatever, if you want to have your AGM here, if you want to do a business update, whatever it is, this is going to be a fantastic space to do that in. Also, having the 3 screens gives us the flexibility within the program to be able to program a bit more commercially so that we can make enough money to keep the doors open. But a screen like this de-risks putting on the more niche independent films that are the lifeblood of the Belmont, because you're not taking a huge risk with a room that's, 200 seats to put on a film that might only get 15 customers. So this is the room that probably is going to generate a lot more money than we think it's going to, and it's also going to ensure that we retain a really important place in the cultural landscape of Aberdeen. And we're going to do a little bit of work here. We're going to move it across, and we're going to get rid of this door, which is just a really bad design, and put a new sight and sound lobby at the bottom and new doors in there. And the reason I say that is, and we'll do the cool fade to dark again, hopefully, but you can see how much it's burnt. The light bulbs have burnt the material. It's not going to do it. Oh, it is doing it. There we go. Happy days. So here we go. This will be interesting. Good luck with this. So now we're going to go into projection room 2. So at this point, you've got a projectionist running in to sort something out in screen 2. You've got screen 3 coming out. What's going on? It's a terrible design. So in here is our other fantastic 35mm projector and a couple more of our digital projectors. And obviously it's a dual. So screen 3 there, screen 2 there. Ironically, there's a lot more space in here than there is in projection room 1. But again, you can see that everybody just kind of like left. There's like unopened mail, cans of film, all sorts of things. So and the angry lamp. So again, we're not going to spend money, and we're not going to waste money in rooms that don't have the public. So we'll give it a lick of paint. We'll give it a clean up. We'll, put in the new projectors. But one of the things that I'm really passionate about is spend the money where it has the greatest value. So spend money on projectors, spend money on sound systems, spend money on seats, spend money on things that actually improve the experience of the people who are using it. And realistically, if we want this cinema to work, because bluntly it didn't work before, if we want this cinema to work, we need to make it somewhere that everybody in Aberdeen feels welcomed, feels like it's their cinema, and sees the difference between the Cineworld experience and the Belmont experience. And they're two very different things. So when you go into Cineworld, you're a line in an accountant spreadsheet. That's all you are. And when you come into an independent cinema anywhere, hopefully you are a valued customer who is an individual and will be treated as that. We'll create an experience that's and an environment that's beyond the physical, that is about welcoming, valuing. Hey, if you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. If you want the Cineworld experience, don't worry, we're not going to hassle you. But if you do want to come and have a yap, if you do want to kind of to take a more full part in the experience, then absolutely, we're going to recruit people who are able to do that, who are invested in what the Belmont is and what it means to Aberdeen, who are happy to chat away to the people who are coming because they understand that they're the lifeblood of this cinema. So I'm extremely passionate around that. And I think my track record in the Playhouse, we did a word map of all the Google reviews and all our internal reviews, and that's like 5,000 reviews or whatever. And the word that came out the biggest in the word map was friendly. And you know what? I'll take that any day of the week, any day of the week. The third biggest city in Scotland not having an independent cinema isn't right. It's not okay, because we're basically saying to 250,000 people, you don't deserve cultural cinema in a great setting. Whereas you go to Glasgow, Edinburgh, you're falling over for independent cinemas. We've raised an awful lot of money already. We've got about 1.4 million to go. We can move forward. We're in our development phase with the National Lottery right now. And that means that until March next year, we're not allowed to start work. We're doing all the prep work. We're doing the design work. We're doing the tendering for construction. We're raising the last bits of money. But what I can really honestly say is it's happening and something's going to open. We're going to open the cinema next year if it actually kills me. So it's happening and we're not accepting anything other than that. And we're really sorry it's taken a bit longer than everybody would have hoped. But just to give you a bit of perspective, from conception to opening, Montrose Playhouse took 9 years. At the moment, will be about 5 years. So I've already shaved 4 years off my track record. So I know it feels like a long time, but I promise you, everybody involved in this project is working overtime to make sure. That's why I'm here on a Saturday morning. That's why we're putting on screenings. We're doing this, we're doing that. And please come check us out on our website, on our socials, and support the Belmont any way you can. It's not about money. It's also about telling the story, making sure that people know that this is the cinema for everyone in Aberdeen. So that's the Belmont.